A big us, everyone. Welcome back to the Kyokushin Shuffle. Thanks so much for your time, responses, comments, and fantastic. I hope everyone has had a beautiful Easter break from all around the world. And we have here in Australia, very blessed and fortunate. Trust everyone's well. Now, let's get stuck into this. Today's conversation on the Strongest Karate series is nice. It's a real tricky word, stamina. And I say tricky because people call it fitness. People call it, in the angle of fighting more so. Stamina is used, but it's going to cover a whole bunch of beautiful things because this is a massive topic that I wanted to cover in regards to the Strongest Karate series. Like the topic was such a key to I feel the difference of how people perceive karate, let alone Kyokushin karate, in regards to those that are wearing certain belts in the world of karate that don't I guess hold the true and form of their health and well-being is the nicest way I'll put it, and it's fact. There's no discrimination in any kind here. There are many out there that were super fit, super gifted in their certain chapter of karate, and now there's certain people that have a perception out there that that shouldn't be a part of their journey anymore, and it is a bit of a kick in the guts to many of those that have put in the hard yards and the effort of maintaining, again, I'll call it health and well-being, that fitness side of your art. But I have a saying that is used in our dojo, that I use a lot in the dojo, and it's the proof is in the pudding, and this is the part of stamina that I feel in the Strongest Karate of Kyokushin is one of the most passionate sides of my journey at the moment, 23, 24 years in, is continuing the fitness and stamina side and passing down to the next generation and passing on to the next generation what my master showed us and what his master showed him. And it's such a what's the word, like a prerequisite. I feel it's compulsory as part of your basics, as part of your I can fight, as part of your learning karate, that your fitness is integral, because if you're not fit and you're not sustaining that great health balance between health and well-being, then it's very tricky to get that next level. And I mean it on a belt level to give you some direction, because you don't want a white belt to feel discouraged. And this is, again, as I always reiterate in these chats, in these series, it's this conversation is to encourage more white belts, more beginners, other practitioners in other arts, other students of other disciplines, to realize that there is a starting point, and that it's important for them to not fear or be a little bit what's the word I'm looking for, their confidence isn't shot before even starting. A key to everyone understanding how the Strongest Karate and the stamina that's behind that, it starts somewhere. It's got to start somewhere, right? Now, this is the part that is integral for the beginners and intermediates to understand, and I'll share my chapter on it, because what I say here is what I say in my dojo to the students and to those I do seminars and so on too. I was the 19-year-old that came through Shian Billy's doors with a pedigree of basketball, and my fitness was unreal. I was training with national basketball team, and there was Olympians, 3-4 Olympians in that team, premium athletes, and the training program that we were on was 2 to 3 times a week of training every day. weights involved. So I wasn't an elite athlete. Let's start there, but I was in a premium mindset and frame of athleticism to walk into a dojo with a bit of confidence. And even that wasn't enough. Even that wasn't enough. And you'll hear me use this comparison, but it's just popped up in my head again to just start it off. Is you got to keep in mind a couple of things here that are important, and that is the best example that I can put stamina behind karate is, you see, and I use his name because everyone's common with it. Don't get me wrong, I don't look up to him in this manner, but Lance Armstrong is a champion on the bike, you know, again, for argument's sake, as they say, due to his record. Then you've got the best marathon runner in the world is the best marathon runner. You put Lance Armstrong in a marathon running race, even though he's possibly one of the fittest, he was one of the fittest persons in the world with the Tour de France, he's not winning that marathon. Facts. You grab that marathon runner who can run, you know, up to 42 odd kilometers, not a problem. You put him on a bike. It ain't gonna. You see where I'm coming from? So we got to keep that some perspective in understanding this whole conversation of the stamina angle behind Kyokushin, and even the example I set, young athlete, 19, training multiple times a day, a week, and then walking in to do, rounds or kumite practice or sparring or kick shield or bag work. And then that stamina level that I had was still not good enough. It still wasn't enough. So it's not to fearmonger. It's not to scare you away. It's for you to understand and appreciate. It's got to start somewhere. Now, it's very important, this angle, and we'll talk about it from the Kumite fighting, knockdown karate. Because I separate them. There's knockdown sport, knockdown karate, the sport, the rules, the minutes. Then there is sparring in the dojo for those that are not fighters in tournament rules, but are still fighters, but in the dojo, sparring, grading, working towards their promotions and level achievements. Let's go into the kumite. Let's go into the fighting. There is a huge part of our dojo that I do is I combine the two. So there is 20 odd adults in our dojo, 3 to 4 fight legitimately in novice, intermediate, or open, right? Novice, intermediate, or open. So they're all in different stages. They're all in different chapters of their journey of kumite fighting and also in the stamina training. Then there is the others, 10, 15 training partners, integral to these 3 or 4 becoming champions. And in practicing in the stamina space, the non-fighters / those that don't compete still need to do the same work that the fighters do, on par. Examples, kick shields, 2 minutes each, 1 minute on, 1 minute off, 1 minute, working together. Big mitt, up and down, we call it, straight line work. Fighter holds the bag, 4 to 5 fighters rotate through, 20 to 30 seconds on. We do a 45-15 set, where it's 1 minute continuous. We do a 20-10 set, which equals 30 seconds continuous. Everyone has to do it. Doesn't matter how young you are. It doesn't matter how old you are. It doesn't matter if you're a fighter or a non-fighter. Everyone has to do it. Everyone has to feel it. Everyone has to understand it. The push-ups, the punching to each other, the kicking on each other falls in the conditioning, but there is a bit of stamina behind that as well, because if you're not fit and strong, you're not going to be able to do it. Everyone has to do it. So we've got some precedents here, that the journey kicks off and there's no separation. So we kick those standard requirements, standard stamina sets, and I've mentioned their bag work and so on, but this is in dojo type of examples. What we then have to do is accommodate lightweight, middleweight, heavyweight. But there is a standard. There is a standard. Once everyone attains it, once everyone understands it, once everyone knows that at that fitness level is where you need to be, then we separate it. Then you start to go, hey, what do you have coming up? I have a tournament, 3 fights potentially, et cetera, et cetera. Then we do different scenarios. I won't reveal them all for our purposes, but there are different scenarios in dojo. We call it most common one that most dojos would do, but we call it Shark Tank. So our fighter is competing in 6 weeks' time. We put him in Shark Tank, designated area of the dojo. He's in, and we rotate fighters through shin pads, gloves, for them to feel 3 odd minutes, 30 seconds each fighter, fresh fighter coming in. Three odd minutes, can get to 4, can get to 5, and let them just spar, control, and build their stamina week by week by week. And then that's one example. So, you know, these are some in dojo stuff, but the biggest part, out of the dojo, I feel, especially after training for the 50-man that I did last year, outside of the dojo. Massive part of the extra work. Not I'm doing more work. No, it's just it's extra work. It's not more. You're not doing more. You just got to do the extra work. I hope that makes sense. People go, I'm doing more. No. There's no, it's unlimited. It's, you know, you've just got to continue to do extra out of dojo. And the extra now becomes cycling, running, swimming, rowing, the bike, I always forget the name of it. There are so multiple extra things that you need to do to build your stamina. And then using that, those types of exercises, it got to a point for me where I was fortunate last year to commit and invest into a personal trainer, a fight combat trainer, Ben, and a strength coach, where I was accustomed to doing the extra work. It was just standard. It was in my day-to-day, but there needed to be an extra part of it, another part. And that was crucial. It was so important to have a knowledgeable person understand my capacity and where I was able to put more into it. And that was just obviously for the 50-man, but it's now allowed me to bring that back to the dojo and give everyone more of an understanding of stamina. That's a bit of a base behind understanding it. Then there is a world tournament level stamina, world champion. And I reference Shian Takuma, who came to our camp before COVID. He's a 3-time world champion. And his training was a lot of the big mitt, a lot of big mitt for stamina. And here is the level that I'm talking about and the tiers. So I've given you the standard. Everyone works in the dojo, does the dojo things. Then there is some extra work that needs to be done outside of the dojo. And I gave you some examples there. And there are multiple programs behind it. Again, depending on your lightweight, middleweight, heavyweight, what tournament, open, overseas, there's so many factors that come into it. And then there is another part of it, which is that world tournament / world champion level. Now, the examples that Takuma Shian shared with me and the others, I sigh, because you kind of go, mate, that's unbelievable. And I'll share one that most can appreciate and understand. And that was the big mitt. So it's a big mitt that comes from your shoulders. You put it over yourself like this, and it shoulders all the way down past your knees. And it's just like a big pillow that allows your training partner to punch and kick and knee and throw whatever technique they wish. And your head is just above, like looking over, and you're holding it, embracing it. So the contact is still coming through in some. So we have multiple drills in our dojo. However, Shian Takuma said to me, he said, for him to have known how far his stamina can get to, and for him to push that threshold, that never give up, that extra part of what the strongest karate. And these are the stories that I'm fortunate to hear, that I wanted to share to others that haven't. Is so he would do a one set with no limit, no time on it, on the big mitt, punching, kicking. And like, for those that may have been listening to that conversation, I'm 100% certain he got it to 45 minutes at full pace, 45 minutes without stopping on the big mitt. Now, there might be many out there going, yeah, that's achievable. Just, again, it depends on what gears you're going at and what rate you're going at. But he would do it to a point. Now, we're not all doctors here, and I'm not advising it, obviously, but he would get it to a point where he would vomit or nearly pass out, faint was the way he said it. Now, you gotta understand here what the hell's going on, right? The body in Kyokushin goes through a lot of pain, and it has to obviously go through a lot more outside of the dojo, in the dojo, before you even get on the mat. Now, for Shion Takuma to prepare, knowing that he was potentially, not ego-wise, but knowing he was probably going to get into the finals of those world tournaments, and when you get to the 12 and 16 ones that he won, he didn't have to use all that stamina in his first four or five fights until maybe the quarterfinal, semi-final, and then the final. It was in the final when he had to go, double extension, bodies going through 7 to 8 fights over 2 days, plus more, and all the above. So again, I can go into way more detail, but I hope you're getting a grasp now of the word stamina behind the strongest karate. We, again, have used it more so in everyone appreciating it in fighting, in tournament fighting. The other side of it, sparring, training partners. This is the part that everyone needs a kick in the ass. And it's not a threat to anyone. It's just even me. And needs to be on our toes. I always need to be on my toes. 42, I've got guys that are 20, 25, 28, 29, 30, etc. The difference here in Kyokushin is obviously when you have training partners, they weigh, I'm 84. Average weight in our dojo is 90, 95, 110, and 120 plus. For a couple of lads, 6'3", Big Craig, 6'4". There's some big lads that are non-fighters and fighters that have good stamina, and they've got it worked out, and they have good control, and they understand their body, and they're not getting injured because they have good conditioning as well. And that didn't just come about because they've been training for 6 weeks. Those names, those people, or those examples, if you look into your dojos, no doubt they would have been training for give or take 4+ years. 4+ years, right? Green belt and above. 4+ years, fit, strong, conditioned, now getting their VO2 up, now being used to the training on the kick shields bags. And so dojo training partners and students are as integral as the knockdown fighters, because that sets up a strong academy, a strong dojo. The non-fighters. The fighters come and go. The non-fighters are there. Most of mine have been there for 10 plus 15 years. And, we have a big ethos in the worst karateka is the one that's injured. And the one that's injured 99% of the time hasn't trained, hasn't done any stamina, cardio, conditioning, and thinks that they can just walk into the dojo and match it with, experienced fighters. And even though it's at 80-odd%, it's very difficult. And I think that the stamina side is such an important ingredient, because we all see the fighting part of the elite, and there's not one. Well, there are a couple that are in the heavyweight division that are fair enough. They're heavy, they're big, but their stamina is also pretty impressive. It's very good, and they've obviously had to work their asses off. Their teachers wouldn't allow that to, surpass too much. But we go back to the non-fighters in understanding and appreciating how important they have to uphold the stamina side and the ingredient, because they're going to be grading. It's part of the game. So you're going to be grading. And most of the senior gradings in my dojo, green and above, we run one grading once a year at the end of the year. You get your green. Anything above that, you have one chance a year, and it's a standard. It's an accountability game from myself as a teacher, for others to attend training, get to training, work on all the above, and make sure that your stamina is ready by the end of the year. You got plenty of time. You can work on all your other kihon, kata, irogekos, and so on, but your stamina needs to consistently be there, to the point where I've always raised, Shian Billy would always say to us, be 90% ready, Pat. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. We shouldn't have to get it to a point where we have to go back to the drawing board to be 50% ready and then go, probably 50% ready. And that's it's not difficult. It's a very consistent lifestyle that I've lived by, and many others. You can see it. You can see it now, and we can't shy away from it. Those that are listening, you can see it on obviously all the platforms that we follow, because we're all like-minded individuals that listen to this podcast and that want to see others. And we want, and more so from me, I love acknowledging and seeing how fit and strong our art is around the world, and how well everyone around, again, Australia, New Zealand, most of our listeners are from there, how they're doing, how they're going, and upholding what we've all said we would for our masters, back to the first episode, strong body, mind, physical, spiritual, mentally, and all those words. Well, where is it? And all these things have to combine themselves for your stamina. You can have a great guy, stamina, me, 19. Oh yeah, great. Hey, I couldn't put together the physical, mental, and spiritual side of what the demands were of karate training, kyokushin training. I could be as fit as anyone. And I was. That's great. Everyone, you could see that's cool. That's cool. Let me start sparring, start getting hit, start getting punched in that novice years, 1 to 2. Man, I was so obsessed with it, because I was like, great, next challenge. This is awesome, right? And such a different feeling for me, feeling meaning, that stamina push, that grind, has a measuring tool for those that are beginning. And I tell my dojo, you can watch as many of the best in the world fighters. You got to be careful how you compare yourself to them. You have to try and have a conversation with one of them. And I'll obviously aim to get conversation with Shian Takuma via the Japan Chronicles with Shian Sean, and watch him share more about how he prepared, for example, for All Japans and world tournaments. And I think that was the eye-opener for me in 2018, 19. Again, I stopped fighting in 2016, in hearing a world champion talk. And I was fortunate to come up through the basketball ranks, and I was always listening to the basketball greats say how much work they have to put in. Go listen, go just jump on Instagram now, or message me and say, Pat, send me the Kobe Bryant clips that you have. Right? Rest in peace, Kobe Bryant. But you see the amount of work that he put in away from the game. You listen to Muhammad Ali, in regards to, again, the topic stamina, and the amount of running he did, not in the gym, out of the gym, not when it was fight time. When it was fight time, he said all the work has been done away from the lights. It's already been done. And they're elite. They're the best in the world. They're the GOATs. They're the greatest. And again, more maturity comes into your training and reading and listening, and all these multiple platforms of different content that you can reference off and use. I can't encourage it enough for everyone to not just focus on yes, your teacher, yes, your master, who may or may not have been part of a tournament, but they've gone through gradings, so they can understand how tough those are. But not motivated, be more inspired behind others, the other elite athletes. There's 3 elite athletes I admire and follow, and it gives me different perspective, not just in mental mindset training, but across the board. I pinch them from different ones. Michael Jordan, Muhammad Ali, and then coming in at number 3 was always, there's so many out there, but number 3 was Kelly Slater. Kelly Slater, surfing, 11 times surfing. And then there are multiple others that can't get enough of. Nathan Carnage Corbett, John Wayne Parr. In combat sports, there's multiple world champions in jiu-jitsu. Hodger Gracie, look him up, tap into his mindset, listen to how he conducts himself. But as for Michael Jordan, he was if you go follow his coach, his personal training coach, Tim Grover, you will start to get an understanding of his mental, physical, spiritual side. And then you will start to understand the substance behind why he could play 82 games in a season, plus finals, not be injured. And if we put that into our world of karate, stamina, conditioning, physical, mental, spiritual, all these things start to mold. So they're very important ingredients. As to why stamina is 5th episode, I think, maybe. So if you've just started to listen to this now, drop back into the others and kind of see the titles as to where I was leading to when you get to stamina. You need to have all those other key ingredients, key pillars that I've just mentioned to help you with stamina. You can have good fitness. It's expected. That's, as I say, good, better, best. Never let it rest until the good becomes better and the better becomes best. If you're good, that's, as I say, that's nice. That's good. Good on you. Well done. You're doing it for your health and well-being. You're on the mat. You're a jiu-jitsu. You're a kickboxer. You're kyokushin. You're whatever. That's good. But the arts give you more. You need to go and find it yourself. You need to tap into it yourself. There are many that can't. There are many that need guidance, support, tutelage, mentorship. And that's what we're there for as senseis and shians. And there are some that are silent and do it, behind closed doors. And that's cool. That's cool. Cool meaning good. That's great. And then there are some that thrive off and have a mission and have a goal. Australian champion, state champion, black belt, green belt, blue belt, doesn't matter. But it's such a massive ingredient part of the strongest karate. And we need to continue to discuss this topic more and more. And at the start, I didn't mean it in a disrespectful way. I sincerely didn't. There are many others in karate and in other styles that may be injured or may no longer be able to run and have that avenue to be fit and strong in regards to the presence of stamina, the stamina part. But in Kyokushin, if you're talking knockdown, fighting and karate, if your stamina is not exceptional from novice, working to good, better, best, and then becoming exceptional, that's what you got to attain to. We have that window. No one's stopping you. No one, because it's in your hands. And that's what I loved more so. In basketball, you do the training in the court, you do the weights, and then you do some track work, but then it needs to be balanced. In martial arts world, you do need some support and guidance in a program, but it's up to you. You don't have you have your coach, but it's not, the coach can't tell you, hey, that's enough of that. That's enough of that. Don't do this, don't do that. That's what I loved more so in this world, that I didn't have to, answer to a coach to put me on the court. I had my master saying, if you keep at this rate and you add more stamina, bike riding, running, we used to run hills, we used to run the ovals, we used to run the athletic track. I used to ride my bike into the city where it was a 15K there and return, 45-minute bike ride every working day. I sacrificed my freaking life at times, not driving to work and riding into work and traffic and all that. That helped with my legs. Now, that could be a cardio thing, but at the end, it became a stamina thing, because when we started to fight and spar, I was becoming fitter and being seen as, you have more stamina. And it is a tricky word when it's used at times. It's, again, what I said at the start, it's a tricky word because some people go, I'll use it in a couple of examples and we can all nod our head to this. You finish a fight and it could be your first, and you come off fresh, great fight, well done, novice, intermediate, open, doesn't matter who you are. And you come off and you're like, felt great. That was awesome. Looked good, felt great. And everyone says to you, great stamina. You had great stamina. Well done. You look good. Okay. You have half an hour off. You move into the second round. Not much has changed. You might have a couple of knocks here or there, but stamina-wise, you're prepared. You're good. And let's say the second round kicks off and you cop one in the leg, you cop one in the guts, and you're still in it. You're still doing all right, but something starts to happen. You start to taper off and you're not looking as sharp. And then there's a component where you kick into gear and you start showing good technique, good moves, good everything. And it only lasts for 10 seconds and the fight goes for 3 minutes. Some go for 2. And out of the 2 minutes, you show 20 seconds of you being on top. But the other minute 40 or the other 2.5 minutes, the other person wasn't as fit as you. Interesting. Not as fit as you. You look fitter. You look more, fit, strong, and look great in the first round. What happened? And then what happens when you get off the mat? Mate, what happened? What happened out there? And the first thing people kind of say to you is, your stamina, it's not good enough. Pretty good in the first round. Got kudos and taps on the ass all after the first fight. Second fight, now my stamina's no good. Please let me know. Give me your thoughts on that. I'm sure we've all seen it. We've all been through it. And then you have this fighter that you see progress, female, male, controlled. I call it the gear changes are nice and smooth. They get through their first, second, third round. They make the final. Their stamina hasn't really gone through the Nintendo bar, I call it, where they've got all this energy and they've used maybe that much to get to the semi-final. They use that much to get to the final. But they have this thing where they can bring it back here within an hour or less than recovery time of your stamina. And now some of them you think they're at this level, but over the years of doing this, going back and forth and back to here and then back to there, and some have got this type of energy bar and can use all of it in one full hit. This is where next level. And it's so impressive. It's something that's so underrated, and some blame it on so many other things. But at the end of the day, that's what separates, I think, us as the strongest karate to many others. And again, it's no disrespect to the others because we've fought the others. I've fought the other styles. They've come into our tournaments, those other karate styles, and they're bloody good. Tough bastards, very strong, very good, very, very good. And then you have a chat to them afterwards. And the first thing those coaches or those students come up to you and say, and they go, man, you got better stamina than me. Or you have great stamina. Us. Yep. Bloody oath. Giving me some flashbacks at the minute. And I hope you all kind of get this conversation of stamina. And these conversations that I have, I stop and I just go, right, it's time to talk about it. I don't prepare it. I don't write it down. I just talk like I use this platform like everyone else is saying. I love what you're saying. And I treat you all listening as if you were in my dojo, as if I was talking to my Shion. I would be saying the exact same thing. And the exact same conversations that we all have, 2, 3, 4 times a week with students or with my teacher about stamina. And these are the things that we just talk about. And I put it out to all around the world to listen to. But I use it more as if you're in a different state, in a different country, or in a different, area, and you can't come to our dojo, I think this gives you some extra reference and content and allows you to explore a little bit more. And more so, ask questions. Feel free to ask questions. Feel free to write to me. Most of you do privately. I see you don't write to. There's about six or seven the one with the conditioning that were more private, and happy to help. And then again, for those teachers out there, I first and foremost acknowledge who their teacher is, and then either I know them or don't, and then give some tips or tricks, but then I encourage them to then go talk to their teacher. All right. It's more just reference. It's just passing on some knowledge if they saw me at the dojo, or passing on. And I think that's where we lack in Kyokushin. We're poor in sharing knowledge. I worked for Blitz Martial Arts magazine. I know that platform. I built it. We built that magazine up in regards to when it started to transition to digital, and the content that I was putting forward and advising our CEO, that was integral to, the main contributors were such knowledgeable people. They were fantastic, legitimate legends. But there's hundreds of them. And now you can see them all. You can follow them all on Instagram, and do it. Try and find more references, and then challenge teachers and ask questions. And, I know my master and his teacher would have loved that, but then they used to travel. They would travel to go and get knowledge and reference. They would invest, tens of thousands of dollars to go and travel overseas to see what the Japanese were doing, what the Europeans were doing, what others were doing. Then they would bring it back. We don't need to do that. That's work smarter, not harder now. Like, come on, we can reference so many other things with multiple different platforms. Grab what you need to grab, mold it into your game, add it into your stamina now, whichever nugget you got out of that. When it comes to exercises and all, I can see messages now. What do you recommend? What do you suggest? Send me the message, and then I'll share more. A big wish to you all. Keep training hard. Keep making Kyokushin the strongest karate. Happy Easter to you all. Us. Shouting to you.